Welcome to Cloudy with a Chance of Meeples, a channel of conversation and board games.
Hey, my name is Brent here on Cloudy with a Chance of Meeples. Today we are going back to the dungeon. Well, actually, we're going back to the Catacombs, which would be the dungeon, but anyways, we are looking at Clank Catacombs, a deck building adventure game in which every game will be different. Because in this version, you're building the dungeon each game. Let me show you how this plays and works in the radar overview. Final forecast coming up first. Cue thunder. So the radar overview for Clank Catacombs looks something like this, and this is going to be a pretty squished radar overview. It's going to be a very just the Cole's note as to how to play this game. This game is a game in which you don't have a game board, but rather you have a whole bunch of tiles, and as you build this dungeon out, you will use these tiles and you'll build it however you want, really. So you'll start with this starting tile, and players will be moving through rooms, and as you explore the dungeon, you will be adding more and more rooms. So as you see, you can put it like this, whichever way you want. So you can build this like infinite possibilities, really. And you will be building out throughout. You can go all the way around this. You can loop this up to the top like this. But for the sake of this, I'm just going to show you just a baby map, let's say that. But you'll be going through the dungeon trying to get different treasures, and the deeper you go into the dungeon will reflect how good of a treasure you'll find. And they go anywhere from 5 victory points all the way to 20. And pretty much the way to win is to gain one of these artifacts and then get back to where you start. Okay, so that's pretty much the skinny of the game. You start at the crypt, you go through the dungeon, you go through these purple tiles, and then you go to the depths. And that's where all of these other tiles come into play. And as soon as you get different tiles that look like this, that's when you will be able to start finding these special artifacts. But how do you do that? Well, it's a deck building game. You start with a pretty weak deck of cards with burgle cards, stumble, which will give you clank, which is what you don't want. You'll be able to move, you'll be able to sidestep and also move, and you'll be using these cards, like I said, to go into different rooms. Anytime you hit one of these rooms with a tiny question mark, you will get a minor secret, and these minor secrets might be, contraptions to let you take extra stuff, or health to heal yourself, more lock picks. May also be, 3 victory points, but it's going to make the dragon upset. So there's a whole bunch of things you can get here. You can also keep going, and you can go to way shrines. As soon as you go to way shrine, you would put one of your cubes on there, and for each cube you have on different way shrines, you get a victory point, or you get $1. You can also, go to different crystal caves, and you can use lock picks to then take major secrets, and these major secrets are like minor secrets but major, so it might heal you twice, might just give you straight 7 victory points. Another healing one. What else do we have here? 5 skill to spend, which I'll get to momentarily. What else is there? Straight money, just other different abilities, so you can use your lockpicks for that. You can also use your lockpicks to save or rescue prisoners, and there's a bunch of ways to get victory points because of the prisoners. So they're all worth virtually victory points, but then some of them will give you different things. Like this one will protect you against ghosts. This one, if you have a certain amount of these special secret tomes, you'll get extra victory points. What else is there? This, if you get in and back out and have a mastery token, you get another 5 victory points. So these prisoners will help you in a variety of different ways. Will give you a little bit of direction and a little bit of something to go for. I will say that there is a token reference guide. It says all the prisoners. It's got all the major secrets, minor secrets, the market, the monkey idol. It has everything. I would love to see just more versions of this. There's only one. You can pass it around to new players, but you'll be going through the dungeon, you're going to different rooms, you know, using your lockpicks to go through passages that are locked. There'll be teleportation portals here, so if you go here, you can, you know, hop out on a different teleportation place. But how exactly does this work? So like I said, you'll be using these cards each turn. You'll be using 5 cards, the top 5 cards of your deck. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You can use these in any order. So if it says stumble, you take one of your Clank tokens and you put it on this Clank board at the top there. Anytime the dragon attacks, which I'll get to momentarily, you'll put all those cubes in the bag. So that's what happens when you stumble. When you move, you just straight move, and then after you've used all your cards, you have skill, which you can get in these major secrets. And you use the skill then to buy other cards. So maybe use the skill to buy this bard. And so this bard is +1 Clank, but if you have 2 or more Clank on a turn, you get to heal yourself 2 hearts. Whereas, you know, say this this card that removes traps, replace a card in the dungeon row. And so then each time this comes up, if you don't like some of these cards that are there, you can then just wipe one and see another one. You can also use some skill to, you know, get an explorer, which will give you more skill, but it'll also help you move. You can use skill to get mercenaries and companions that can fight. Anytime you go over paths with these little images, I don't know what they're, little faces or whatever, you need to, you know, attack them or you'll take damage. Or you could also just fight someone in the dungeon row. So this ogre merchant would take 4 swords to defeat, but if you defeat him, you get $5. Or if you're in a market room, you can take a market item for no cost. So these market rooms would be here, and anytime you go to market room, then you can buy one of these items for $7. So more lockpicks, you know, just straight victory points. You can a little amulet that can heal 2 damage. If you want to take a second artifact, you can buy a backpack that lets you take a second one, because you can only take 1 during the game. So you're going to be doing that. At times, you're going to be putting all the Clank in the bag, and then you'll be pulling out different cubes in the bag. And if you're pulling the black cubes, that's the dragon. If you're pulling blue cubes and you're the blue player, you're going to start losing health. And if you ever, you know, lose all your health, you're out of the game, unless you have an artifact and you are in the purple area or you've made it back. So pretty much you can explore as far as you want, and you'll want to potentially explore as far as you want, but know that the further you go out, you may not be able to make it back to this safe purple area. And if you get knocked out, then you cannot win. But yeah, that in a nutshell is kind of how you play Clank. You get money throughout the game. There will be ghost tiles I mentioned earlier, and they would be like this with a little ghost. You'd be putting ghost cubes, and anytime you pull those cubes out, you'd be attacking everybody, not just, you know, the blue player, the red player, or whatever. And that, like I said, in a nutshell, is how you play Clank Catacombs. There are a ton of different cards for that dungeon row. And so every game is going to feel wildly different, because depending on which of these cards come out, and then of course all of these tiles, whichever ones come out in the game, and how you put them and create your own dungeon, it's going to be different every time. Some of them have, you know, multiple rooms. treasures, the markets. This is just straight 3 victory points, but it's a one-way in, and to get out, you gotta have, you know, swords to fight your way out, or you're just taking damage. Look at this. This would be wild. You need 3 swords, but maybe, depending on how deep into the game this goes, this could be the 20-point artifact. So, like I said, tons and tons of these tiles. Every game is going to feel different. And there you have it. That, in a nutshell, in a small nutshell, is how you play Clank Catacombs. Let's move on over and check out now the final forecast. So the final forecast for Clank Catacombs. I remember years ago watching reviews for Clank, the original one. It was highly rated. I'd watch reviews, and I was like, meh, not for me. The board always looked crazy, chaotic. It's a dungeon theme, not typically my thing. And so I put it off for a number of years. And then I guess sometime in 2022, early in 2022, I had a chance to play it, and I absolutely loved the game. The deck building aspect, that push your luck, going deeper and deeper into the depths to get that great artifact, to push your luck to get back to the top before you get knocked out. I love that tension, that excitement that Clank brings. And then the Catacomb version. This version came out, and you don't have that main board anymore. Instead, you have almost 30 tiles that you'll be building each and every game. So every game is going to feel wildly different. And I think this is the way Clank should be played. Period. The thing about Clank, to me, the exciting thing about Clank is going deeper and deeper and pushing your luck to see how far you can go to, you know, just get to the edge and then quickly race back. And you hope that you have enough movement points in the deck that you've curated to actually do that. Because on more than one account, that has not happened to me, and I have been knocked out, and I've scored 0 because, well, I didn't get back out of the depths in time. And that's the spirit of Clank, and this encapsulates that so well. Every game is going to feel wildly different, and where I say that's amazing, you may say I don't like that because it's too random. It's already random to a degree with cards. You're just adding another layer of randomness because every game is going to be totally different. And you may have games that may not last as long because you may pull a lot of these ghost cube tiles right away. And then whenever these tiles get in play, then you add a white ghost cube. Anytime Clank gets pulled, any white cube that comes out is then attacking everybody. So then you have to worry about not just your own color, but those white ones in there as well. So that could fall flat for you. It could also still be a group dependent thing. People potentially still might just go for the cheapest artifact and then run out of there, and that could make the game fall flat. That's just part of Clank. It always has been. But to me, this is the way to play Clank because I love the tiles. I love just going deeper and deeper. I love it that grabbing an artifact is now an action. It's not mandatory going into a room with an artifact that you have to take it. No, you can surpass some rooms to keep going deeper and deeper. These lock picks, these are pretty cool. I like them. They're a little small, but the function of them is fantastic because you have these tiles where typically you would need a lockpick. I don't know what it's called in the base game and the original, but you would need to buy something from the market so you could go through locked tunnels. But in this one, you put a lockpick on there and you unlock it for yourself and your opponents. So you got to use those things wisely. You also want to use those in, you know, crystal caves to get special artifacts, or not artifacts, major treasures, or I can't think of the word, secret tomes. You can use them to free prisoners, and I love that because those prisoners will give you victory points. And some of the cards, if you freed a certain amount of prisoners, gets you like extra bonuses and stuff like that. This will give you kind of a direction. These prisoners will give you direction. One of them, I forget what it is. something. The golden monkey bot counts as a monkey idol, and is worth 3 points at the end of the game. So then, if you get that one and another monkey idol, then that'll really help you out. There's cards that'll give you more victory points for every monkey idol you have. It's kind of the same things that you've seen in the original Clank, but I love those prisoners. The biggest thing I probably don't like is the card, the animated wall. There's 2 of them, and when this arrives, you got to rotate every tile with any player on it 180 degrees. So of course, if everybody's on one tile, that's one tile. But if you have 4 people spread across this tile-laid table, you're going to have to kind of separate these tiles to rotate them all 180 degrees. I think there's another one that you have to rotate it to a different orientation. I'm not necessarily a fan of those. I get it. It goes with the theme that much more, with the craziness that can happen in the catacombs. But it's just kind of a mess rotating these tiles and trying to rearrange them. So not necessarily a fan of those couple cards. And also, if you're at the end, you're still exploring and you get this tile and you rotate out like further back, or you're starting to go back in to escape, and then you have to rotate your tile and you're facing outside and you have to adventure and explore even more, that could cost you the game. So there are a couple cards that may cause for a game that may not be as enjoyable with the randomness. But overall, man, I love this game so much. I love the way shrines. Anytime you go to one of these rooms, you get to put one of your Clank cubes on there, and each of them is worth a victory point. So the first one's worth 1. You put another one on a different room, it's worth 2, so on and so forth. So then you have less Clank that can go in the bag, and you're getting victory points at the same time. So I love that. Just overall, I absolutely love this game. I love it more than the original. If you're going to have one version of Clank, I think this is the version to get. You definitely don't need both. I think this is a better one just because every game is going to be different, which is ironic because we are in this board gaming hobby and everybody wants games to have so much replayability, but we never get to the point of actually playing games until they're boring because the replayability is so high. And the replayability is so high in this one. I could just imagine what new tiles they could be coming up with down the road, because just adding more tiles, a few new cards and stuff like that. And so it's clearly expandable down the line. But we'll see what happens. I will say the card quality is it's not linen finish. And these tiles, the bulk of the game, they're fairly thin as well. But overall, fantastic game. Deck building, push your luck. The theme, it's all right. I'm still not a fan of this genre fantasy theme, but I absolutely love Clank Catacombs, and I would love to see more tiles in the future. So I'm going to give this one a 90% chance, Meeples. Absolutely fantastic. If you don't have Clank, if you're going to pick one up, pick up Catacombs. My name is Brent, and check us out on Facebook, Cloudy with a Chance of Meeples. Until next time, grab your umbrella. The forecast is cloudy with a Chance of Meeples.
Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and remember to grab your umbrella because the forecast is cloudy with a chance of meeples.